Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is playing out a massive bull market signal here on the larger timeframes, potentially repeating history. But in the short term, Bitcoin's now flashing a new signal, which we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside the fact that more liquidity is currently building to the upside above the current Bitcoin price, while Ethereum is now forming this pattern in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video. So definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to once again take a look at the Bitcoin news today, because on Thursday we saw another day of massive net inflows into the spot Bitcoin ETFs, because on Thursday we saw another inflow day of nearly $500 million, more specifically $470.5 million US. And so this week so far, from Monday through to Thursday, which are the days that we have the numbers for, we don't have the numbers for Friday just yet, but this week so far, we have a total net inflow of over $1.8 billion US, and nearly $2 billion flowing into the Bitcoin ETFs just over 4 trading days, which gives an average net inflow for each trading day of over $460 million US as an average net inflow for one single day so far this week. And so obviously the big players in the market right now are continuing to accumulate more and more Bitcoin. So despite what the charts are saying, just keep that in mind. The big players, the smart money, are buying into Bitcoin like never before right now. But with that being said, taking a look at this 4-day Bitcoin chart, and over the last 1 day, not a lot has changed in the super trend indicator. So getting straight into this weekly Bitcoin chart, zoomed all the way out, taking a look at the last 5 years worth of price action approximately. And we can see during this 5 years or so, we see multiple expansion phases where we have these massive bullish moves, also known as bull runs or bull markets. And then we see these huge slowdowns, either massive sideways consolidations or even bearish trends, also known as bear markets on the larger scales. And during these massive cool downs or bear markets on these larger timeframes, we see these huge resets in the weekly Bitcoin RSI from overbought or close to overbought all the way back down towards oversold or close to oversold. And this basically forms a line of resistance in the RSI, pushing the RSI downwards. But simply based on what we've seen previously, once we see a confirmed breakout in the weekly Bitcoin RSI above that massive downtrend line of resistance, essentially breaking into more of a bullish trend in the RSI and starting to form higher lows and higher highs, things like that. If we see that in the weekly Bitcoin RSI, typically this is a massive bullish signal, not just for the short term, but for the longer term, as in talking about the coming months, if not the coming year or so. And so these previous examples, we saw massive bull runs on these larger time frames. Each of these times, or we saw a major breakout in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. And just over the last few weeks, we've seen the same signal confirm right now in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. And so obviously for most of this year, since around March this year, so near the beginning of the year, throughout most of this year, all the way up until recently, the Bitcoin price has been in a little bit more of a bearish trend, or at least a major cool off here on these larger timeframes, resetting the RSI to the downside on the weekly timeframe. But right now seeing a breakout, this is a major shift in the momentum. And now obviously on smaller time frames, the day-to-day price action can contain the occasional red candles. So keep in mind, we can see little short-term pullbacks and things like that along the way up during a larger bullish trend. But as of right now, when we're talking about the larger time frames, things are obviously starting to look much more bullish again when we're talking about the larger trend and momentum. And obviously, I've already been saying that here on the 2-day Bitcoin chart, now that we have already confirmed a breakout from this massive descending line of resistance right here, which is sitting at around 66,000, give or take. But with that being said, we still have significant resistance close to 68,000. So just keep that in mind. The price could potentially still struggle at around 68,000. But if we can see a confirmed breakout above 68K, then in that case, we'll likely see a run up towards around 72,000, which we could find some resistance at around 72K approximately. But above that, the next resistance is basically the all-time high level at around 73,500. And then obviously if we break out above that, we're in new all-time highs into price discovery. And so these are the resistance points, the obstacles that I'm watching out for the price of Bitcoin moving forward. So once again, we're still currently struggling at around 68,000, but if we could see a confirmed breakout with a daily candle close above that level, expect to move up towards that all-time high price range in the low 70K price range. And now if we see another rejection from this resistance in between 67 to 68,000, in that case, we could find some support at around $66,000 based on previous resistance and also this previous resistance right here becoming new support in a potential retest. But with that being said, we also have significant support down here at around 64.1k to 64,500. And in fact, even if we do see a slight pullback in order to retest this breakout line at close to 66,000, for as long as we're holding above that line, if we see a successful retest like that, that will just simply further confirm the breakout to the upside for as long as we remain above the line. It would only invalidate the breakout if we see a major break back below 66,000 with confirmation. So candle closes below that level, which right now has not happened. So this currently is an active bullish breakout. And speaking of active bullish breakouts, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart right here, and as of right now, we're still trading above the neckline for this cup and handle pattern, which was sitting at around 66.3k, so close to that 66k level, like this previous resistance right here. And so once again, for as long as we're holding above around 66,000, we're looking pretty good here on the larger time frames. And technically speaking, we still have this bullish price target for this cup and handle pattern, which is sitting at close to $80,000 per Bitcoin. But keep in mind, even though we have that bullish price target in play at around $80,000, obviously the price is not just going to go straight there in a few days or in a few weeks. It will likely take quite some time, potentially a matter of months, in order to get up towards $80,000. And also, we're not going to go there in a straight line. Obviously, we're going to run into some resistance along the way where the price could struggle at. And already over the last few days, we've seen a little bit of struggle in this area in between 67 to 68,000 acting as resistance. And this is also due to the fact that here on the 8-hour time frame, we have seen that overbought signal in the 8-hour Bitcoin RSI, which I've already been talking about over the last couple of days here. And so ultimately, this is just resulting in a bit of a short-term cool-off in the price of Bitcoin. Like I said in my last couple of videos, this does not necessarily mean we're about to see a crash. It just means potentially a slowdown in the bullish momentum here in the short term, at least for the next couple of days or so, in order to reset the RSI out of those overbought territories, which can give us more room to the upside later on. And so a good example of this happening previously on this chart right here was around the middle of September. We saw the price of Bitcoin and the RSI pump to the upside. And then as the RSI got very close to overbought territories, that was telling us we're due to see potentially a little bit of a pullback or at least some choppy sideways price action in order to reset the RSI, which can give us more room to the upside later on to continue the bullish trend at some point later on. And while we're seeing this short-term cool-off in the Bitcoin RSI and in the price of Bitcoin, basically the price slowing down just in the short term, we are technically forming a new potential bearish divergence right now. But as of right now, this has not fully been confirmed because we still need to actually confirm this lower high in place in the RSI. Whereas right now, at the time of recording this video, we could potentially easily see a breakout here. And so ultimately, we need to see a further rejection in the RSI in order to basically cement the lower high in place in the RSI. But with that being said, we also have this previous bearish divergence, which did play out over around a day, give or take. So basically, this is a sign in the immediate short term that we're losing a bit of bullish momentum. Once again, this could just be for the next 1 or 2 days or so in order to cool off the price and the RSI, which resets the RSI, giving us more room to the upside later on. So overall, in the larger time frames, things are still looking very bullish, obviously, but just in the short term, we're currently seeing a little bit of a cool off or a slowdown during the bullish trend. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I teach about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a 500 USDT position airdrop on Bybit, which basically means it's a free $500 trade as your first trade over on Bybit, but that's only if you use the link down below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on an account and then simply claim the airdrop using that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there's also Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitnex. So I'll also leave a link to Bitnex down below this video. And if you use that link, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus. And only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitnex exchange forever. But that's only if you use the link down below this video to make your Bitnex account. And so once again, if you're trading crypto anyway, you might as well check all of this out. Links down below to claim those extra bonuses. But when it comes to my trading strategy for Bitcoin right now, personally, I'm still holding on to my Bitcoin long position that I entered at lower prices, which I shared here on the channel when I entered that trade very transparently. And so right now, I'm still just holding that Bitcoin long position. And as the price goes further to the upside, further into profits, I'm slowly moving my stop loss further and further into profits in order to basically secure more and more profits so that when we eventually see some sort of decent pullback, they'll just hit the stop loss and close the trade automatically in profits. And as I mentioned in my last couple of videos here on the channel, if we actually see a strong confirmed breakout well above 68,000, above this resistance right here and above this previous high right here, so well above 68,000 with candle closes, at least on the daily time frame above that level, in that case, personally, I'll potentially be looking to add more to that Bitcoin long position if we first see that confirmed breakout. And once again, that trade that I am currently holding right now for the price of Bitcoin, that long position, I am currently holding that over on Bybit. Link down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and like I said in my last video, we are now actually building more liquidity to the upside above the current price. First of all, in my last video, I said that it's likely we're going to see a little bit of a reset here in the short term, basically just a slight little slowdown, resetting the RSI. So a reset in the RSI, which we've already started to see here, especially on the smaller time frames. And like I said in my last video, this will likely tempt some traders, some short positions out there to basically add to their shorts or basically enter into new short positions. And this is exactly what we've seen as expected. The traders out there, some bearish traders, have been tempted by this slight little pullback here in the short term to basically open up new short positions, adding more liquidity to the upside, more liquidation levels to the upside, which means if we cross above those levels, or cross above that liquidity, that will wipe out those short positions, basically causing another short squeeze, pushing the price higher. And so essentially every time someone tries to short this bullish trend, they're simply just helping the bullish trend continue on further to the upside, because when short positions try to short a bullish trend, that basically adds more fuel to the fire, because when shorts get liquidated, that pushes the price even higher, liquidating more short positions. That's what a short squeeze is. And so right now we do have a decent amount of liquidity sitting in between around 68,500 to 69,000. So once we cross above that area, we would likely see another pump to the upside, likely into the low 70k price range, basically causing another short squeeze if we can break out above around 68,500 to 69,000. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now, not much has changed over the last 1 day on this chart. So we're still holding above 2,500, which should now act as major support. And we also have significant resistance at around 2.8k. And it's that level at 2.8k that we need to break out above with confirmation on the larger time frames in order to flip very bullish again on the larger time frames, because that would be basically a major reversal out of this price structure, this bearish price structure, and more recently some neutral price structure, basically in a massive sideways price range. This would flip once again back into massive bullish price structure if we can see a breakout above 2.8k. But obviously, when we're zooming into just the short term here, we've already been bullish for some time now just in the short term, and we still have significant resistance at close to 2.7k to 2.8k right here. But as for support, we've seen yet another perfect bounce from this area of support as expected, in between around 2550 to 2580. So once again, that is still the support to pay attention to. But if we were to see a breakback below around 2550, then in that case, the next major area of support to the downside is this area in between around 2440 to 2475. And also just in the short term here, we are basically playing out that overbought signal, just resetting the RSI, which is cooling off the price and the RSI a little bit here in the short term, basically losing some bullish momentum, which is normal to see when we see an overbought signal. And ultimately, we'll likely see similar price action for Ethereum as what we're going to see for Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin pumps, we'll likely see something similar for Ethereum, or if Bitcoin dumps, Ethereum will also likely see something similar. But with that being said, zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 3-hour time frame, this is right in the short term here. And right now, the price of ETH is potentially forming a rising wedge pattern, which is known as a bearish pattern because more often than not, a rising wedge breaks to the downside. Roughly around 2/3 of the time, a rising wedge breaks to the downside, and about 1/3 of the time it breaks out to the upside. So it's not impossible for it to break out to the upside, it's just that is technically the less likely scenario. And combined with the fact that we have this rising wedge here on the 3-hour time frame, we also have a bearish divergence currently forming also on the 3-hour time frame, with higher highs in the price in the candle closes and lower highs in the RSI. And so once again, this is essentially telling us that we're likely going to see a little bit more of a short-term cool-off just for the next 1 or 2 days potentially, which can reset the RSI further here on the 8-hour chart, for example, which can eventually give us more room to the upside later on. And it's also important to understand the difference between the different time frames and the scale of this pattern. For example, on the 3-hour time frame, even if we break below this line of support, which is sitting at around 2.6k, more specifically around 2605, if we confirm a break below that level, the technical price target for a rising wedge is basically the bottom of the wedge, which is sitting at around 2560, give or take. So that move right there, if we're looking at it on the 8-hour time frame, would be a move like that. Seriously, just that little move like that would be the entire rising wedge playing out on the 3-hour time frame. And so it's always important to understand the difference between the different time frames. A large dump on this time frame when we're zooming out is really just a slight little drop on a larger time frame. And so once again, even if we see a breakdown for this rising wedge and complete the price target, hit the price target for the rising wedge at around 2560, that would likely just mean another retest of this area of support before potentially bouncing again once we actually reset the RSI here. But we're still waiting for confirmation. Obviously, right now, we've not yet confirmed a break below this support, which means that bearish price target for this rising wedge is not in play because, once again, there's still roughly around a 33% chance that we may break out to the upside. So that's the less likely scenario, but that is still a possibility, which is why we just need to wait to see some confirmation here of a break of one of these levels. And by the way, the resistance line for this pattern is sitting at around 2640. But with that being said, taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, and right now we're currently seeing a bit of a short-term bounce, but we're still holding underneath this major area of resistance, which is still sitting in between around 159 to 163. So like I've said recently here on the channel, yes, we can see these short-term pumps, but in order to expect a much larger bullish movement, potentially back up towards around $200, give or take, we need to see a confirmed breakout above 163. That is critical resistance right here in between 159 to 163. And as for short-term support, we have significant support in this price range in between around 137 to 142. And obviously, we've recently just found some support at close to 148. So for future reference, we could continue to find some support at around 147 to 148. And technically speaking, on this daily Solana chart, this inverse head and shoulders pattern is still ready to see a potential breakout, but right now it is not yet confirmed. So ultimately, we need to confirm a breakout here in order to confirm the pattern and the price target, which means breaking out above at least 158, which is the neckline for this inverse head and shoulders pattern, but ideally breaking out above 163, above this resistance, because obviously if we break out above 158, we still have this resistance in between 159 to 163. And so in order to be confident that this inverse head and shoulders pattern will actually play out for the price of Solana heading towards the price target at around $200, we need to clear 163 to be more confident that we're actually playing out this potential inverse head and shoulders pattern, which at this point has formed but not yet confirmed. And when it comes to the short-term price action for the price of Solana, ultimately Solana at the moment is just playing out a bit of a cool-off, which is resetting the RSI on smaller time frames and things like that. So basically very similar analysis and price action to what I said for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So ultimately, what I said for Bitcoin and Ethereum will likely also apply for Solana, especially here in the shorter term. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.